Welcome to Mavericks, a program that we invite all CEOs and C-suite leaders of organizations who we've spent time with and worked with to come talk to them and talk to us about the industry and about management and leadership. Today we have an old friend with us, a creative director of Buddhi Batiks. We knew her from MAS Linea Aqua, Darshi. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you, Niroshan.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, great seeing you.
Amazing that we've not met in a couple of years, and yet it's like just the other day.
Yep, I can't believe it's been since your kid's christening that I saw you after 4 years.
Wow,
and I can't believe it's been 4 years.
It's been 4 years, my God. Oof. This program, we like to highlight about the life and work of these individuals. Talk to us about who little Darshi was. Parents were creative. Was she naughty? Was she a creative person? Was she introvert, extrovert, passionate? What kind of a person was she?
Very naughty.
Very naughty?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who hated clothes.
Oh.
Ironically, I'm in the business of clothing now.
Okay.
Yep, I used to hate clothes.
Okay.
And didn't wear any as long as I could manage.
Okay.
Till my parents was like, you're wearing clothes.
Okay.
Yep. So I used to run around. The backyard of Buddhi Batiks was my playground.
Okay.
Basically, that's the backyard of our house.
Okay.
And I used to, after school every day, I used to go there and play with, the fabrics and batik being created. I used to watch. I used to make my own. I used to make batik clothes and then stitch them into garments for dogs. Mm-hmm. So my dogs were always getting married. Okay. They were a couple always. Right. And the girl used to have a scarf, the boy dog used to have a collar, and all sorts of things. And when I wasn't doing that, I was on top of the roof plotting something else. So quite naughty. Yeah.
School, were you a sports person or more music or artistic or?
I guess I wasn't too bad in school. Yeah, now I'm thinking I just got worse as time went by. Back in the day, I was better at school, I guess. And I used to get the prize for, that was a thing I had to get going to school every day.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was something that I used to get every year, till we had to go to this Nandamali singing competition. Like, I used to go to Nandamali singing classes. I used to come all the way from Koswadia to Colombo. My mother used to bring me once a week. And then there was a TV performance. So I had to cut school. I cried the whole night, saying that I didn't want to cut school. I don't know, that made, crazy.
Yeah. But did you ever have dreams about the artistic side when you were growing up? Or?
Oh yeah, it was the thing. I mean, I always knew it wasn't even an option. I want to do design. I want to do something with textiles. I wanted to play around with textiles. Yeah, so that is what I always wanted to do, and it wasn't even a would I, should I, what else.
Okay. And since your parents were in the same business, or your father rather, how did his encouragement support you?
So he asked me one question when I said I want to do fashion design. He said, what are the job opportunities? Do you want to do, I suppose from his mind, he was an artist who did textile design. And then when I say fashion design, so it was a bit different. And I said, but I like doing it. He said, okay. So,
and then started the journey.
Yeah.
Formally, in terms of your training and preparation for this field, if you would take us through some of those things. Because in this modern age, we coach and train people. Many people, their kids would come up to them and say that I would want to do this. And some of the different generations would turn around and say, I prefer if you could do finance, you do your bachelor's degree and then go do whatever that fashion thing you want to do. But today it's become a mainstream topic, and it's a profession. So I was wondering whether you could talk to us about, the many who would listen to this program, about the dreams of a young girl to a profession, and you are up there with the best as far as I'm concerned. What type of formal education did you go through, and is that important, the training part of it, or is it a knack that you ought to have?
So I guess after A-levels, I actually got picked to the Columbia University, and then they didn't offer fashion and textile design back in the vintage days when I was planning to go to uni. They didn't have fashion designing in Sri Lanka as a degree. So initially looking around, then my parents said, why don't you go to Singapore and then learn, because we had lots of friends in Singapore. I was like, okay. And then I went there for a year, did a diploma, and then I said I want to go to England to learn more on textile side. So then that's how I continue to do my degree in England, to do fashion and textile design. My passion is for textile design. And if I didn't do that, I think, I learned from the best as a kid. With the craft artisans, I worked a lot. So that learning was really helpful when I studied fashion formally as well. But I think I've seen so many people who are great artisans, designers, who hasn't had a formal training. So I think it's either your experience and through working at it, or you can also learn from others too. So in my opinion, it's enhancing the love and the knack you have for it through formal training or through experience.
Of course. Since you spoke about artisans, many talk about how you have been able to keep the traditional techniques, and yet many in other fields feel some of the older ways of doing things does not support you in developing the business and aspects of it, especially considering the landscape of fashion. How have you been able to find a balance between the two?
So we still use the traditional methods of creating the craft, the batik. It's just what we have done differently is we've used different types of fabrics, maybe different trending motifs, or different types of colors, combinations to sort of give it a new look, the new types of fabrics. But techniques wise, it's pretty much been the same, and like you said, it has not helped as a business to grow because it's a slow fashion. And however, nowadays there's a trend giving a lot of value to slow fashion. So that has been recognized, and we are at a niche, we are providing for a niche customer, and so it's a high-end niche customer, so I suppose that kind of balances out in the business sense. However, something I haven't talked much about is this has always been my side hustle. I worked for Mavericks as my first job, then I did this for a while and it continued, but then after 5 years I joined MAS. And I really loved working at both places. I learned so much, and I think it really helped both places. They have been, actually, I've been very lucky to work at Mavericks as well as MAS, been amazing companies to work for, learned so much, and that I was able to use that knowledge into creating batik as a business also.
Sure. One thing that I was talking about is this keeping the old traditional techniques. Have you ever thought about crystallizing some of those older techniques with technology?
So we use the wax resist dyeing technique. See, the thing is, we have lots of limitations working on the wax resist dyeing technique, because you can only use cold dyes, because otherwise the wax will melt if you use hot dyes on top of the wax. So if there's another substance that you could use with hot dyes that doesn't melt but you can chemically remove, then I suppose you can use lots of other different fabrics, lots of other different types of dyes. So that way you could get something out of that. But then maybe you can print on the resist, then it's not handmade. So there's always limitations and the value that handmade brings, because each piece is unique and you cannot create, even if you draw the same design, when the artisan actually draw it with wax, it's going to be different. And however the wax crack, when you put it in the dye, that's also going to be different. So
that's the uniqueness.
That is the uniqueness and the value of, it's an art piece. Yeah.
Well, you don't have to sell me, because you know that I am a firm favorite of batik saris, which I buy for my wife. I come to you very frequently for that. But I was just wondering, in the world of technology and where it's moving, where intelligences of various varieties are being used, I was wondering whether the process of learning can also be enhanced by using some of these technologies, because Dumbara to all these old artisans are no more, and the artistry itself is dying. So I feel sad sometimes knowing that there is no future. How about in batik?
I think batik has got a facelift. I mean, for the last 2 decades or maybe 15 years, it's been getting a facelift. Slowly but surely, batik has been back to the former glory of, back in the day when my parents used to do batik. I see my father taking batik, my parents taking batik around the world. We used to travel with him sometimes, and he used to be always at exhibitions, fairs, showing batik craft, and really batik was around the world. I feel now the same sort of batik has been reinstated with that former glory, I feel, but with the newness. Okay. For today's with keeping up with today's trends, and
batik clutches and batik shirts and
batik clutch bags, batik blazers.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. If I take you away from batik for a moment and go back to the design world, the industry is not having its best time. That's because of global recessions and so many business problems. But then designers also innovate very frequently. In the industry, how innovative have we been in the last decade?
In the fashion industry?
Fashion industry.
I think I have seen, in Sri Lanka itself, like I was saying initially when I was studying, there weren't any degree courses in fashion. But there are many universities and colleges that offers that right now. So there's a lot of opportunity for the young kids, and they are taking advantage of it. And there are so many very talented designers coming out. So I think there's a great future for fashion, textile design locally.
Okay. Why I asked that was not like when I talk about business topics sitting here in the same chair. When I talk about industry, sometimes I try to immerse myself in the industry. And sometimes when I go for some of these fashion shows and I just look at the cut and sew of it, or the imagination, I see some wonderful people. And I wonder whether we are able to impart that innovative behavior in them to seek and to work out, as opposed to studying and sticking to the basics. What more can we do with that particular sphere of innovation and creativity with our younger people? What do you think personally?
Something I learned from, other than academically, is from our history. We have over 2,500 years of great history locally, culture, a lot of design-oriented history. And looking at it, I've learned quite, and still learning, is something that is that as Sri Lankans we have the edge of, because it's our own history. So if you look into that and learn, there's a lot to learn from that. And then with that you combine your free thinking mind, open your mind without fear, and you know the creations that you could come up, I mean these youngsters, and some of them do come up with some beautiful, amazing, totally out of the box, never been done designs. So yeah, so
That's
lose the fear to create.
Yeah, I think to have that freedom of mind, it's not about the business or the money, but the value of what it creates is what they need to sort of look forward to and understand from. I think that kind of zest inside I have seen in a few, the fire in the belly, as they say, and that's there in most industries. For people, it's just become more of a job than looking at a design and saying, that's mine, and then feeling that that's so great. And most of the old artisans had that. Yeah.
Because if you enjoy what you do, and I think that is where the key is, and then you lose that fear also, right? Then you come up with brilliant stuff.
And also working hard. When I look at a ceramics designer in Japan who spends 7 years to figure out just the types of clay before he actually starts making something. And the patience and the love and care they have is amazing. So it's a lifetime thing for them.
Yeah. Like, I mean, even our artisans that I want to mention them, the amount of experience that they bring into the table, the intricacy. I mean, you can't just learn it, you know, in a hurry.
Yeah.
It's just patience and perseverance and work, you know, practice. It's, you know, with all that, what they create.
The fashion world talks about ethical fashion, recycling, so many things we've been talking about for a decade and a half. Yet, risking this next sentence, I would still mention, so we're still in the industry of a lot of wastage. The apparel industry has lots of wastage. And working for them for over 23 years, I hope they wouldn't listen and be upset about that statement. But having said that, it is still true. How well have we done in the last decade or so from your way of thinking?
I think we've realized now, 10 years ago when I joined MAS, I didn't know about sustainability. Learned it from Sarindo Unambu, who was our CEO at that time. What is sustainability? I mean, I didn't have an idea about it. So that is something I learned at MAS. And we slowly but surely, we started putting that into our practice in batik as well. Looking for the dyes that are better for the environment, and how do we use every bit of the fabric we create. Trying to create a circular economy within Buddhi Batiks also. And we have got a small unit with water purifying unit at the factory. Then, you know, even valuing each piece that the artisans create is valuable, so do not waste that. So it's a start, it's a journey, so it's a progressive journey. So I feel it's not people don't want to be that, it's people didn't know that. So but now there's a lot more awareness of it, internationally, locally. So even the designers nowadays, or in the apparel industry also, they're making all the all different ways to be more circular or greener. I mean, long way to go still, because each piece you create is something that we didn't have. So the greenest fashion is what is in the closet, what is in your almirah. So anything you create is you're adding to more to the environment. But at least responsibly creating, try and minimize. So that is something we try to do. But the challenge we have here locally is sourcing the dyes, the chemicals, or the fabrics that are made more for batik, that are environmentally friendly. It's better than before when I joined the industry 15 years ago, but still a journey.
I was more looking at the apparel side in the larger segment, but in batik too, you will obviously have the dyes and how you dispose of the dyes and the recycling process, which will be a part that you will have to look at.
And I mean, as designers, something that as individuals, something that we can do is promote wearing the same thing again and again, and invest in value than fast fashion. So that is also a way to look at it.
Yep. Somewhere in 2005, received the Young Fashion Entrepreneur Award from British Council.
In 2007.
Was it 2007?
Yeah. Oh wait.
Yeah,
yeah,
somewhere there.
7, 8, yeah.
I was wondering whether you could talk to our entrepreneurs, because many of them who have quick startups, I'm talking this industry, not just general. So they learn the subject, they have a small shop, they want to put out a few garments, quickly start a business, and we must encourage them. But what would you advise them in their journey as an entrepreneur?
Well, I mean, what has worked for me was thinking out of the box, to do something different that is already there in the market. So recreating the look of batik, bringing in a new look. So look for something that is already not there. Don't be a cookie cutter, yet another designer. Go out of the mold, do something different. Create, I mean, I'm saying if you're a fashion designer, create something different that is all, and look at the niche, what is not in the market. So that is something. And then as a designer, be courageous to create something, take a risk. I mean, in my case, I had a side hustle. Like I said, this was my side hustle. So I was able to experiment because I had a steady job on the side as well. So that also helps. So you were able to, we do so much of R&D at Buddhi Batiks. So much of time and resources and money goes into like creating something different. Do another sample, create something, maybe perfect it a little bit more like that, right? So in art, there's no right and wrong, but it's just what you feel about it. So till it makes me feel happy, till my team feels happy, we create something differently. So that is something as a young designer that one could look at, be courageous and do something different.
Yeah. I also, when I sometimes coach, people tell them, being a designer and an entrepreneur is one thing, running a business is yet another thing. And your finance management, your cash flows, your running of the business sometimes may not be your forte.
Yeah.
And
guilty.
Maybe having some of those abilities also will help and enhance run a business. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with that. That's probably why I had to make this the side hustle and then get another job. because I wasn't, I had to learn on the job how to manage my money. So back in the day when I was in uni in England, those days they used to offer, HSBC offered, the foreign students can have £3,000. So £3,000 was a lot of money, especially then. But you had to pay it back in 5 years or whatever, and there was no interest also, so which was great. I don't even know now what I used it for, but I also got that, and I couldn't pay up because it was in my final year. So then I said, okay, I'm moving back to Sri Lanka. Here's my address, all that shared. Then I came back, started working for Mavericks, and so the debt collector calls. It was hilarious. I was like, what did they say? So then I would, being young, I was so embarrassed about it. So I asked the receptionist, what did they say? Did they say what it was about? And she was like, no, this person called, and I was like, oh my God, now I had to pay. So then I would ask my father, look, I'll pay you back. Can you? No, talk to them, reschedule your debt. You have a job now, you need to pay it back. So talk to them, plan it. So like, oh no, what do I do? Why can't they just pay it? I mean, at that time I didn't see it, but I'm so glad they didn't pay it off. They wanted me to, you use the money, we paid your school fees, we gave you living expenses. Why did you need that money? So if you wanted it, you took it and then you paid back. So then I had to talk to the bank, reschedule it and figure out a way, and then monthly from my Mavericks earnings, I used to pay it back. Yep.
Good lesson.
Yeah, good lesson. I learned a good lesson there. Yeah.
And such business lessons are important to run a business.
Yeah.
And that creativity piece and the business piece are two very different pieces.
Yeah. So I learned on the job a lot, but yeah, learned it though. Still learning.
Mm-hmm.
But
of course.
Yeah.
What are the top 2 or 3 things that you learned in the, well, let's say where I met you at Aqua, or maybe Mavericks, in terms of business acumen and design?
So from even before that, something that I've seen in my parents' work was being innovative, thinking out of the box. And that got enhanced by working at Mavericks as well as MAS. So I saw the exposure that I got to travel to fabric fairs and meet the buyers helped me think out of the box to look at other fabrics. Why not the traditionally used fabrics and different color combos? Like, let's experiment. So that was one of the things that I learned. And then the sustainability, like I was saying, that is something that I learned. And also working in a team. How do you manage a team? Mm-hmm. Because MAS, I was managing the design team. Mm-hmm. And that helped me learn to manage working with people. So, yep. So those are the 3 main things.
So what are the exciting plans you have for 2023 and beyond?
Oh, a lot of exciting plans. I will tell you a little bit. I can't tell you everything because they always say, do it and show, not talk. So, yeah, I mean, we are opening another new store. So that is one of the exciting things. And there's something to do with training that we are doing also. So,
very good.
So that's just a little snippet into. You will be told about it soon because maybe this is something we could look at.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I was helping some of the old indigenous doctors to be able to document their ways of doing things, because some of those things they were doing it because they were very good at it, but they'd never documented it, and thus one cannot take it to the next generation. So sometimes people with great ability certainly have to pass it down. So I'm excited to know that you're actually looking at the educational and the future of this as well. Outside the country, capturing the world. Where are you right now? I see you in posts, different countries.
We do a little bit because it's still we have production issues. We still need to make more, and finally we are ready to expand. We are building the team now, but we do a little bit in Philippines. We do a little bit in Greece and Spain. So little bits here and there.
For the purposes of learning, because you and I have worked together in terms of a coaching endeavor, what are your personality traits that are levers of success, and maybe if you want to mention a few levers that you would want to work on in your journey?
My levers of success.
Yeah. Creativity could definitely be one.
Yeah. Something I think that my passion for history has helped me to create something traditional into something new also, the learning and my hunger to learn. So I'm very curious about learning and passion for history. And I could still learn on that, but I could learn a lot on managing a business.
Okay.
That is something I could learn a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I think it's a journey, learning till we are, till the end of the time.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the analytical, the number-driven, the business side of things are some things that you feel you can work on. But I think you are working on all those as well.
Yeah, I mean, better than yesterday.
Okay. So from a person who's expanding the business to the next level, if I ask you the final question, from a business angle, not just batik, but overall in the fashion industry, and you've seen CEOs of various stature and capability, whether that may be Ashraf Umar or Salindu Nambu and many others in the fashion industry that you work with in different organizations. What are the good things you've seen in a C-suite person? And in this day and age, given the world economy and so many things, what are the things that they can work on?
I mean, some of the things I've seen with Sarinder, especially the freedom he gives his team and the owner's opinion, that has really helped the freedom. And Mr. Ashraf Umar, I've seen also his loyalty even after you leave his organization. I've seen one of my colleagues who used to work with him got very sick. He completely helped him, looked after him completely after he left. Yeah. So I mean, I've seen great traits in, like I said, I've been very lucky to work for both those companies. Yeah. So.
And in others, I mean, not only those two that you work with, many other CEOs and you know them as friends, things that in this day and age that they can improve on. Things that you would want to see in a CEO.
So I suppose I picked up on the things that I really appreciate as well, mainly because them and a lot of other CEOs has great qualities, and these were things that I really admired. Okay. So that I guess that's why I picked up on them.
Okay. So the freedom.
Ethical business is also very, very important, because I think to have that reputation, to go have a future, you need to have that ethics of doing the business in the right way.
Of course.
Yeah.
So the economy being sluggish globally, not mentioning only the local thing.
Yeah.
How do you think we're coping as a business right now?
Better than before, I think. I've seen a turnaround with business also. It's been hard, not just for me, for all the business in their level of business. It's been hard for everybody. And that's why I said I'm ready to expand and recruit more people. So I've seen a turnaround in my area of business. So it could be different to somebody else's business. Like during the pandemic, pharmaceuticals were doing really well. So it really depends what you're doing. But for me, I've seen a turnaround and I see more demand for locally handmade products.
Okay.
So and also in the international market also for artisanal products, there's a demand. Yep.
Darshi, it was wonderful having you this afternoon, and we hope to chat again. Do come again when you do get into the new initiatives. We wish you all the very best, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me today.